Guys, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent. Hello guys, and today we're going to be talking about free-to-play shooters. Free-to-play shooters that I played, maybe you played one or two, possibly, maybe all of them, but do you play now? Do you play today? Do I? No, these are shooters that no one plays. And normally when I do these lists, I try to have a little bit of enthusiasm and optimism, and that's cool, yeah, but some of these games are definitely on a downward trend, despite right now, at the moment, being pretty down themselves. I wish I could have made the list bigger, but you know what? A lot of games I put on the list, I had to double check. A lot of them got shut down. Freaking tragic. But what I gotta say is, I make these lists because I want you guys to try them out for like one last time, one last hurrah, or just to kind of reminisce. You know, remember the good days. So these were free-to-play shooters that had some really cool stuff in them. I hope they can make a return. Some of them might. And if not, hopefully there's a spiritual successor coming out soon. But yeah, let's try to keep the hype alive. And here's the top 5. And the first game for honorable mention is going to be Heroes and Generals. The weak link on the list here is a game that, in so many ways, it's so obvious the issues that it had. And luckily, doing top 10s and 5s like this, I can just immediately talk about weaknesses, right? But Heroes and Generals also at the same time, those weaknesses were kind of double-edged swords because it kind of made it fun. You know, almost the clunkiness, almost the awkwardness of this game and the experimental features they added, it was kind of charming, especially because it is a, it's a historic shooter. So, you know, the way the guns reloaded and the shooting mechanics, all of that kind of played into the feel of the game. But of course, it was awkward. It was strange. And frankly, I will say this: compared to other period piece shooters and really historical games, period, Heroes and Generals is doing okay-ish. I mean, no one really plays it compared to other proper shooters, but yeah. Anyways, this was the game that was kind of a champion in my opinion. It was like Battlefield, you know, like one of the original Battlefield games. It kind of felt similar to that. It is a big team battle game. And then it was set, you know, back, it is similar to the first Battlefield and a couple of Call of Duties as well. The original Call of Duties, Medal of Honors. It was a historical piece shooter that also had big team battle vehicles, things like that. This was super cool. Battlefield only just recently kind of went back to that with Battlefield 1. That's neat too, okay. But Heroes and Generals was still very unique and special in that aspect. And then also, they encroached on MMO territory. It's not a full MMO, but it does have this interesting meta map feature where they were promising that even you would be able to play on tablets and phones by being able to kind of command people to go to different battlefields and then send supplies their way. So really what ended up happening is the game was super clunky, you know, because they tried to be, you know, historic. The performance was very strange. It was kind of pretty, but nah. And then also because of the whole supply thing and the grind of the game, because it was kind of RPG-ish, everything just felt extremely unbalanced and unfair, which is normally totally okay in games like Battlefield. You jump into a server to a losing fight, it's okay, it can be fun. There's a lot of really cool moments, and there still is in this game, but it really needed more attention. It needed more finesse, and maybe more money pushed into it, possibly. Maybe it tried to dream too big, I don't know, but there's still something really, really unique about Heroes and Generals that I wish more people got to experience. And you still can, and I still implore that you do. Okay, yeah, but now starting our list proper, I'm going to put it down Tribes Ascend. Honestly, I really actually got my fill out of this game in particular. I think I played it a lot. Total Biscuit did a video on it. You know, I fell in love with it. At the same time, I fell in love with Blacklight Retribution and Hawken and a few others, and I sort of counted this as like a renaissance for like, you know, AAA free-to-play games. I thought that this was like going to be the moment. I was working for Free MMO Station. I was like, oh my god, my career ahead of me is so bright, you know, if free-to-play games look like this. And, you know, eventually we do have cool shooters like Fortnite, Apex, things like that, which are doing really great, and some maybe, you know, waning. I really appreciated those games too, but it was Tribes Ascend, man, that really started it all for me and many of you, friends and family. Tribes Ascend Unique is a game about skiing, kind of. You're like flying around, you're kind of shooting rockets, like you're rocket jumping or rocket sliding, and throwing grenades so that you can propel yourself up mountains and slingshot yourself around the map, and it's really a capture the flag game, and we haven't had a good capture the flag game since like Halo, and this is like Halo on absolute steroids, squared on crack. It's pretty crazy, man, but I normally actually played the heavy on flag role, so I just had the big guy with the chain gun with the landmines, and I would literally just sit myself on the flag. Hi-Rez did some really bad design decisions with this game, making it too different from the original Tribes with the class systems, and yet at the same time they didn't go full hero shooter, which they probably should have. And then being a free-to-play game, the monetization was really grindy, debatably pay to win even, but the graphics, the sound design, the memes, and the promotion of this game, and for a little bit the esports was kind of touched there. It could have been really, really, really cool, but I guess maybe just fast-paced shooters or PC shooters seemingly were falling out of the spotlight, but I don't know, not really. Some people will be like, well, arena shooters just aren't popular anymore, but Tribes wasn't really an arena shooter. It was a pretty different game, and it really deserved to be popular. There was another shooter called Midair that launched recently and died instantly, but Tribes Ascend, I think, if it really held true to its unique design decisions, as well as staying pure to the Tribes physics and overall gameplay loop, if it was like a hero shooter Tribes game, and it was fair and not pay to win, and they really pushed that esports scene like they have for Smite and not Realm Royale, but Paladins and things like that, it could have been really decent. In the end, it was fun for a pretty good time, but it just hasn't lasted, So, yeah, number 5. And now number 4 in our 5-game list is actually the newest game on the list. It's such a tragic story. Hi-Rez, I love you. I actually just recently applied to one of your positions. But anyways, Realm Royale. Oh my god, Realm Royale. Realm Royale was so amazing. In fact, I was actually hanging out with a streamer named Thor who often streams high-res games and even Realm Royale and loves it. I remember his description. He went so animated. He might have been a little tipsy, but he was like, he was screaming. He was doing the chicken sounds. It was such a fun time in that bar that night. But that guy really sold me on the game. I picked it up as soon as I got home, and I was amazed. That first week of Realm Royale, especially if you were playing from like the beta test into launch, that first month of when the game was being tested and then launching, it was some of the most fun that you could have in a battle royale, period. A lot of people were really enthralled with it, even though it was so different. It was so fast-paced. It was actually very skill-based as well, and there was a lot of mechanics in the game that kind of really took away the chance, I felt, of battle royales, since it was easier to move around and it was easier to kind of get the stuff that you wanted, and yet the game was so dramatically strange with the classes and the straight-up magical abilities. But of course, if you came from a Paladins or Overwatch background, you could just jump in and play, and it was really cool. It was basically like a hero shooter. It was class-based, but it kind of felt, similar to other hero shooters. It was like a hero shooter battle royale. And there's been others and things like that, but Realm Royale was, you were the chosen one. And Hi-Rez made some very strange decisions, and I heard that the game is better now. I gotta check it out. Come 2020, gonna revisit a lot of these games. But, once that hype dies, it's really hard to come back. I think this game could, though. Hi-Rez is a company that, they do cut their losses. They definitely can, but I think now with their restructuring of their company and now with their newfound publicity, like they're a big company, people know them. I guess you could almost say that they're kind of stepping into AAA territory pretty soon here. Realm Royale could have a chance, but regardless of how many people are playing now, or who are used to, or who will continue to, if you jump in right now, it probably will be a really fun time, and it's definitely one of the most unique ones. Really only being competed by Spellbreak, which is still a very different game, and then stuff like Fortnite. Realm Royale is still, even though I've done lists on magic-based battle royales and fantasy-based ones, it doesn't matter. Realm Royale is still some of the most coolest moments I've ever had in a game, period. And despite how maybe its graphics might make it look, it is actually, in terms of game flow, in terms of gameplay and its mechanics, it's a special game. Yep, number 3, we actually have Iron Sights. Halfway through the list, we have a game that legitimately could come back. Some people actually mentioned, I put this already in a free-to-play game no one plays list, because it's a new game, and I just did a video on it, saying like, oh yeah, this basically came out like a year ago, no one plays it now. So it's returning for this list, obviously, being a shooter game, but it actually could come back, because people said in that last video, hey Sky, it's actually on Steam. It's not launched on Steam, at least in America or whatever, but you can see the Steam page. I think they want to launch on Steam, and if they do that, it could come back. But from what I've seen on other similar kind of games, in terms of like how they're published, not really the genre, but yeah, I don't think that's gonna be enough to bring it to basically the spotlight, bringing it to like the top 10 or even top 20 of free-to-play games being played, at least consistently. It really could in terms like of polish and mechanics. I think it's a legitimate game, and I've already expressed that enough in my multiple videos I've done on Irish site, especially the full review that I did. And in my last video as well, I lamented so despairingly about how good this game was and what a tragedy it is that it's not played more. But I also said that back then that it was kind of the publishing, basically. It's a solid game for the most part. That's very similar to Call of Duty, but it's basically like they should have launched on Steam. I really think so. This game would have fit so perfectly in that ecosystem, and they should have promoted it more. They should have posted it more on more stuff on YouTube and held tournaments and things like that. But in terms of this era of free-to-play shooters that came out, like games like Black Squad and a few others, Iron Sight's my number one. So yeah. This one, it really hurts, but it could come back. Maybe. Yeah, number 2 on our list of tragic games is going to be Robocraft. And a lot of people wouldn't consider this a shooter, but Robocraft and many other vehicular combat games focus on shooting mechanics, but I think more so in Robocraft than any other. You actually have snipers, you actually have CQC type encounters, and aiming at the different blocks actually matters. That's what made Robocraft so cool, is you're crafting these vehicles customs with all the different pieces and blocks. There was actual physics in the game, and that kind of mattered, but then when you actually are destroying different vehicles, shooting out their weapons and shooting out their wheels or their wings, that stuff would completely cripple them, so you actually had to aim, and actually focus. It is really a shooter, and all the different guns that you can customize have totally different, mechanics themselves and how you shoot, and especially because you can, customize basically the guns themselves by how many which ones you put on and in what direction and where it's located on your vehicle. It really is a proper shooter, and more games really need to be just like Robocraft. Please, somebody make a successor, bring this game back. But I'm here to tell you, if you don't know, actually, Robocraft ceased development. So I actually don't know, because I haven't logged into the game recently, but I don't know if it's going to be shut down, but I do know that it is ceasing development. So that's pretty much it. And maybe that's kind of a good thing, because if I'm not mistaken, Robocraft is actually kind of stable with its player base. Now, nobody plays this compared to stuff like World of Tanks or War Thunder, absolutely. But there's some other games that have literally they have to shut down, or they have 0 players in them. Robocraft still has a hardcore community that loves what Robocraft is, and it went through some really rocky periods. Just because I don't play a game every single day doesn't mean I don't love it and that I haven't played it. So I played Robocraft every big large update, when they added in like the like Scorpion stuff, and when they added in the store that you could buy blueprints from other players, every update. And so I've seen how the monetization has gone from like kind of interesting to like really shitty, and then like, okay, you're kind of balancing it. Oh no, it's really shitty again. And then now I think we're in a spot that's a little bit maybe better. I don't know. Is it the best? That's debatable, but Robocraft is a really special game to me, especially. And I'm kind of getting teary-eyed thinking about it, because this was the first game when I gave my son, who I am very distant with, I gave him my laptop and I downloaded this as his first game to play, and it was his first PC game, and he fell in love. He loved it so much. He loves it because he loves Minecraft and stuff. And he would just make the silliest, goofiest, most ridiculous machines that on purpose just looked silly and just would, spin in circles and things. And he would actually do really fairly well. And I was so proud of him. And that's a rant, but Robocraft is a special game that is fun for the whole family, and yet has that complexity to be really engrossing for more mature audiences. This game should be one of the most popular games on the planet, in my opinion, and I think it was entirely squandered, but still so close to my heart. And lastly, we have Block and Load. Block and Load was the game that I spammed before Overwatch and Gigantic and Dirty Bomb and a couple others. The hero shooter genre was really blossoming, and this was something that I was in love with, because I played a lot of Team Fortress 2, which was kind of like the father, but not quite a hero shooter that was still class-based. It didn't go above and beyond, and Block and Load did. It took a lot of inspiration from some other like voxel-style shooters, which were pretty popular actually, and then it put it into this almost competitive format, and they also really focused on the building. If you guys don't know, you actually have a couple minutes to build up your base and defenses, and then the wall comes down, and then you can be attacked, and you can attack the other team's base as well. And so, yeah, siege games are really rare in themselves, and then to have a game that's actually like the hero shooter game where they have all these characters that have different kind of abilities and they have different blocks they can place, and they play very differently. So some are like infiltrators, some are defenders, some are meant to siege the enemy blocks. It was so fun. It was just pure fun. But I think a couple of things that really led to its downfall would be its monetization. It went from, I think, being promised as free to play and then going to buy to play. It really should have been free to play from the beginning, and then it went free to play. And then like it was kind of grindy to get some of the characters. I didn't appreciate that one. By then, like basically a lot of interest waned, and then also the game's performance wasn't that great. Being a game that looked the way it did graphically, I think it was very CPU heavy with the block destruction and creation mechanics, but it had such a charm. I really feel like Block and Load should be at the level that a game like Paladins is at, or Smite. It really should be chucking along really well, but it's not for, Jagex being Jagex. And that kind of sucks. Yeah, so this is being published by Jagex. So maybe to no one's surprise that the way this game was handled, it makes a lot of sense. When Jagex feels like it doesn't have a viral game, it just kind of lets a game die. It'll let it coast out, which they're kind of doing Block and Load, or they will literally just shut it down, really before a game even has a chance. And, maybe that's a good thing. I've definitely done that before. I've quit jobs the day I started them. Quitting is a strength, but it really sucks when you make something that is truly unique and artistic, and I think beautiful, and a lot of people had a lot of fun with it, but then it's just not enough for you, your cash cow RuneScape, and then you see how they handle RuneScape 3, right? They're looking at those numbers, they're looking at that, their eyeballs are somewhere totally different, and it really hurts, it really stings. I don't think it's too far to say that, fans of these games, and especially a game like Block and Load, which is so easy to become a fan of because it's so special and unique, I don't think it's unfair to say that we have been betrayed in a sense, because we are actually promised, these games are promised a live service. We're promised something that becomes bigger and better and always is supported, and we put money into it, we put our time into it, we make videos on it, because everyone is a critic, everyone is a content creator, everyone is part of the content. We as a community try to assemble like tournaments, and we try to assemble, game book clubs and things like that to play these games, to have that experience, and we are the foundation of your game, and you're just letting us rot away. You're just, casting the game aside, you're casting us aside. But Block and Load, there's almost no one playing it really. You can probably find a game if you spend hours in the queue. If you guys can get a bunch of people in, if you can get some people to queue up, Block and Load, you will have memories. You will absolutely come away with a gaming memory for the rest of your life. Yeah, guys, that's my 5 free-to-play shooters that no one plays that I truly miss and love, and I will actually attempt to replay and re-enjoy or get something new out of it, because a lot of these games, I feel like I didn't play enough of it. Honestly, I didn't get enough of these games, and that's why I'm so sad. Because even though I might have played, like, especially Robocraft and Block and Load, I played them so much, some of these games, they just died so quickly. They just lost the hype so fast, and I'm not done. I'm not done with you, games, and it just sucks that the publishers and developers have been done with me. Anyways, hopefully you guys can find a group and jump in and have a time. I think for a couple of these, you really can. For most people, honestly. So I do ask that you give these games a shot. I will try to next year. And if you want to support that endeavor, I do have a Patreon, and you can support me directly with donations or just liking and sharing these videos. I want to keep making more of these on all these genres, all these games that I love and miss, that I want to bring back, talk about nostalgia, or maybe show you a game that maybe you missed, and you come back and tell me in the next video, oh, Sky, thanks for the recommendation. Can't wait for the next one. And yeah, that's going to be coming. So much love, guys. All I can ask is you keep that hype alive. And I'll see you again next time.